Hello and welcome to the Canine Rehab Movement Podcast, where we discuss all things canine rehab, fitness, and sports medicine for our four-legged companions. We cover a variety of topics with amazing guests in an educational and entertaining format. Some would even call it edutainment. Now, we are all about canine rehab and fitness training, or craft. So join us and hone your craft with the Canine Rehab Movement Podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by the very topic of this episode, Northeast Seminars. Now, Northeast Seminars has been the leader in canine rehabilitation training for 25 years, offering university-backed training and certifications in the field of canine rehabilitation. Their industry-leading North Carolina State University CCAT Rehabilitation Certification Program is renowned for its excellence. The CCAT program brings together a world-class faculty, a top-ranked university, and unparalleled instruction in the field of small animal rehabilitation. This ensures that you receive the highest quality education and training. And Northeast Seminars has been proud to support the mission to advance the field of canine rehabilitation. Okay, now let's get started with today's episode. Joining us in today's episode, we are honored to have a distinguished guest with us, Dr. Gross-Torraca, a board-certified clinical specialist in orthopedic physical therapy and the Emeritus Fellow of the International Association of Veterinary Rehabilitation and Physical Therapy. Now, Dr. Torraca lives in Connecticut with her family and has a rich educational background. She received her bachelor's degree from Boston University and her master's degree from Quinnipiac College, and her doctorate from the University of Tennessee. She is certified in rehabilitation and manual therapy, demonstrating her extensive expertise in these fields. Since 1999, Dr. Torraca has been an integral part of Northeast Seminars, serving as one of the founding faculty members for this program. She also founded and directs the CCMT program, advancing education in canine rehabilitation. For over 25 years, Dr. Torraca has owned Wizard of Paws Physical Rehabilitation for Animals, where her love for animals and rehabilitation shines through. She has traveled the globe, lecturing on topics related to small animal rehabilitation, and is deeply involved in professional research focused on canine performance and the use of photobiomodulation in treating canine sports performance and degenerative myelopathy. Dr. Torraca's passion for her work is evident not only in her professional endeavors, but also in her day-to-day interactions with her clients. She is often sought out for her expertise worldwide, yet her true love remains treating the beloved clients in her clinic, particularly the current and retired canine military teams. Beyond her professional achievements, Dr. Torraca's personal dedication to her clients is unparalleled. She is known for her exceptional customer service and her ability to make a significant impact on the lives of the animals and people she works with. We are thrilled to have Dr. Gross-Torraca join us today to share her vast knowledge and experiences. Also joining us today is a very special guest. She is the cornerstone of the education and training community within the field of canine rehabilitation. Please welcome Nicole Thistle, the Vice President of Northeast Seminars. Now, Nicole's journey with Northeast Seminars began back in 1999 when she started booking hotels for their physical therapy continuing education seminars. Under the leadership of Ron Rossetti, she quickly took on more responsibilities, and by 2000, she was handling all scheduling and on-site logistics for every course. This included coordinating instructor schedules, travel, and accommodations, finding appropriate lab facilities, booking hotel blocks, and even accommodating special needs, such as dietary issues and physical or learning requirements. Nicole's dedication went above and beyond the call of duty, from babysitting children of instructors and participants to attending funerals and weddings. She even found churches of choice for attendees. By early 2001, she had taken charge of Northeast Seminar's certification programs, becoming the point person for all instructors, students, and sponsors. She planned and hosted all exams and was known for organizing some epic parties and social events. Her involvement with Northeast Seminars extends to every aspect of the organization, from project conception and development, talent acquisition and contracting, administration, marketing, budgeting, scheduling courses, to booking trade shows. Her commitment to customer service is unparalleled, ensuring that every interaction with Northeast Seminars is a positive one. Nicole has been a part of the Rossetti family for 45 years, having babysat the Rossetti boys and worked in their mailroom before she was even in high school. Despite not having a college education, Ron Rossetti trusted her, and she proved herself through her willingness to learn and dedication to excellence. It's an honor to have someone with such a wealth of experience and dedication to the field of rehabilitation join us today. Now let's get into the episode where Nicole and Deb go into how Northeast Seminars was founded. All right, Nicole, take it away.
Like most great stories, it started with a man and his dog. And we happened to have a business that provided continuing education in the physical therapy world for trainers and physical therapists. And he had a passion for that. And so when he had a dog that needed TPLO surgery early on, and that dog was sent home just with some good luck, here he is. Ron, who I'll refer to throughout this story, took it that one step further, like most great business people do. Passion for his dog, and I want better. And that's really how it began. And being in the physical therapy industry, he knew the benefit of PT and wellness. And we were fortunate enough to know Deb, who was a PT, is a PT. It's funny how I say that. Debbie's story is so interesting, but I think the story of animal physical therapy is interesting. And I think Ron was a big part of it and passion, but he saw the business. He saw the business of it when he went down and saw Debbie. And there were a lot of early challenges, and Debbie can talk about a lot of the makeshift equipment, right, Debbie? The first time Ron came down with that 80+ pound Rottweiler, the puppy love of his life, Rosie needed some help, and he drove from New Hampshire to Connecticut, where Deb was, to seek that help.
Yeah. No, I remember vividly Rosie, the Roddy, Rosie, who was his, like you said, love of his life. And I remember getting in the car with him, and he bought all these hamburgers, and he was just chucking the hamburgers into the back of the car. But yeah, I remember having that conversation, helped Ron and Rosie. And the next thing I knew, he said, I want to teach this more. So he said, can you commit to one seminar a month? And I remember before we knew it, we had whatever year it was planned out, like January through
I
December.
don't want to tell you, Debbie. I don't want to tell you, but
I
that
know.
was 1999.
Yeah, a long time ago. And we had it all banged out. And I remember everything, because back then we were looking at hotel spaces and right, which hotel would take dogs. And I definitely remember I was a baby speaker and learned along the way, like things happen and just remain calm. And I remember a group of Rottweilers breaking into a wedding in a hotel in Chicago. I was like, all right, so now we're kicked out of the hotel. So now what?
Many. And the thing is, how naive were we to think that's what it was? We're going to rent a hotel.
Yeah.
We're going to promote this to a bunch of physical therapists, and we're going to just bring in some dogs. And we quickly learned that it was a little bit niche.
Yeah.
and that we did need to look at putting together more of a program and involving veterinarians, right? And not uh,
Right.
winging it so much, and getting some clinics and great universities involved. But yeah, I remember some crazy early days, making
Oh,
a
yeah.
lot of donations and cleaning
Yeah.
up a lot of hair and what. And
Yeah. No, we learned.
it was.
Yeah. And I'm always, I think last year in Phoenix, a PT came up to me and said, "Hey, I don't know if you remember, but I was in one of your seminars in San Francisco." And I remember being there, and again, the whole aging process, but it just made me sit back and think, wow, like I've been doing this a long time and it's great. Like I continue to watch the growth and I love it. I felt like we were in its infancy back then and now we're just like charging ahead. And I love that people still want to, learn, and this has just become mainstream, which is,
Debbie, we have a unique perspective that we see the human side and we see the veterinary side.
yeah,
And we're going to be going to the combined section meeting, which is the APTA's flagship show. And how many of those companies will we also see at the Western Veterinary Conference that you and I will jet to that coming weekend? The transition of applying human medicines and therapies to animals,
right.
whether it's in wellness or nutrition or all these therapeutic modalities, it's been fun to watch
Yeah,
the going from niche to the credibility of now having so much competition in the
right.
industry, and watching your trajectory. Did you think 20 years ago you would just be laser show all day, dogs, show dogs,
No, like,
living your dream?
yes, and I do remember,
Not
and
that it's easy. It has not been
no,
easy.
no, definitely, and I remember I went to undergrad in Boston, and I always laugh that Boston, New England, it's fairly conservative, and I remember talking to one of my PT professors and saying, "Oh my gosh, why can't we do this on animals? Like, we can use the same things." And of course, like back then, we didn't have a lot of the technology, and I just remember her, "Oh, Debbie, it's just a dog. No one's ever going to pay for this for animals." And now I'm always excited when I get an email from either someone is like going through animal science or they're trying to debate, should I go to PT school? Because all I want to do is work with animals. And
Exciting and scary because we have to
yes,
protect it, right? It is. They
yeah,
are living, breathing things, and it's
yeah,
part of the education and
right.
why we keep pushing,
Yeah,
right? Because Ron
absolutely.
was passionate about it.
Hmm.
Anybody who has an animal is passionate about it. If you're in it for just the money,
No. And you can't, there's no way you could do this unless you truly love the animals. They'll just, I always say, like, there's no fake emotions that they put on. They're either they're honest, they don't malinger, they don't fake injuries, they're honest. They either like you or don't, and they either get better or they don't. And it's like as simple as that. Pretty quickly where you stand with them. And I always caution people because there are definitely people that are either veterinarians or technicians or PTs or PT assistants that don't really like animals. And I often look at them like, okay, why are you doing this? Because if it's
Yeah.
not for your passion, and I do every once in a while, I sit back and I think, like, there are definitely steps along the way, and I'm so grateful for that day talking to Ron sought me out, we sat down, we talked, and I thought, "Oh my gosh, this is my dream come true." Like, I'm teaching this, and this is just incredible, and it just keeps getting better and better. It's
well,
definitely
and learning. I think we put
yes,
together an amazing team with these
yes,
programs. And I think our goal with this podcast and with anything that we do is bringing the best people on to give the most current valued information and then provide a community for people to ask questions and learn. How
yeah,
often do you hear me say to people, rehab, it's baking, it's not baking, it's cooking. It's
mhm,
to taste for the
mhm,
animal and you don't know. So the
right,
bigger your recipe book, right? The more scratch notes you have and
right.
friends you can share recipes with. And I think we've created an incredible community. And I hope that we can continue to not offer this foundational information, but advanced information because, again, the size of the industry is always just
Yeah.
amazes me.
Yeah, those are amazing talking points too. And I think Deborah said it great where, because I'm a fellow business owner as well, and we're not in it for the money. And anybody that says it is lying to you. But and it truly is altruistic with these animals, and they'll show it. They'll show it to you too. What they think of you, how they'll do it with you. And I think that's also a great talking point about having different people there in your facility because not everybody gets along with everybody. And that goes with canines to humans, things like that. But I am curious too, to dial it back. I know you guys had a little hookup at that hotel you were talking about when you guys initially started. But beyond that, what were the other kind of early challenges outside of finding hotels to do these seminars? Were there any other kind of speed bumps that you faced trying to break through into this niche, right?
Yeah.
Well, hiding cadaver dogs because
Cadavers.
we didn't
Yeah.
want to get people demonstrate because they didn't have any idea what we were doing. Really
Right.
trying to just have people understand that we were in it for the right reasons as a
Right.
PT company, as PTs, working with veterinarians, not against them, working right in that team approach, right, Debbie? That was, I think, a
Absolutely.
big challenge for us, getting a veterinarian to listen to a PT.
And definitely working on that teamwork, that collaboration. And we've been so fortunate. We have such a great team of instructors, a little bit walks from every part of life. But I laugh too I think back, I think I was out in Seattle, I don't know, in the early 1990s. And someone said, oh, by the way, PETA is going to be demonstrating outside your course. Yeah, I said, "Oh, okay." So, like, I went out there and spoke with people. I said, "Listen, I love animals. I'm doing this, like, and educating people so they can go on and having these conversations." I was like, no dog is being held beyond its will, and they love it. This is all to improve their quality of life, and that was a little bit like, "Okay, 3,000 miles from home, and."
We've made a
Yeah.
few state boards nervous. We've had to remind them this is education. Anybody can take it. This is educational. We're not. So we've made a few state boards nervous in the
Yeah.
day. But
Yeah.
I think because of the longevity and because of, again, Ron was brilliant in if we're going to do this and be credible, we need university certification.
Hey guys, I hope you're enjoying today's episode of the Canine Rehab Movement. I just wanted to take a hot minute to talk about something that can make a big difference for both you and your furry friends. This episode is brought to you by Zomedica. And at Zomedica, they are committed to meeting the needs of clinical veterinarians and rehabbers in the ways that promote both patient and practice health. Their mission is to advance the effectiveness of veterinary practitioners and rehabbers by offering innovative, unrivaled products and services. Now, as someone deeply involved in canine rehab, I know how important it is to have reliable partners. That's why Zomedica's dedication to innovation and quality is so valuable to our community. Check them out to see how they can help enhance your practice and improve patient care. So thank you to Zomedica for supporting our mission to keep our furry friends healthy and active. Okay, now let's dive back into our discussion.
We need to have these, it needs to be scientific, right, Debbie? That was always his thing,
Absolutely.
Deb. It's got to come from a place of science because it is knowing rehabilitation is so different for so
Right.
many.
And that's another good talking
behavior and
point. Canine rehab, how was it perceived at the start when you guys were trying to break ground on this?
I think it was definitely one of the new things, and I remember getting a lot of skeptics coming to take a 2-day course, a lot of veterinarians, even physical therapists. I had a couple say, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe you lowered yourself to work with animals instead of people," and I was like, "Oh, no, I elevated myself. I'm thinking outside that
Yeah,
box," and
absolutely.
so there was definitely a little bit of a struggle on both sides, and it was more and more like our big conferences, not only on the PT side, but the veterinarian side. There started to be more and more labs and maybe just some short educational pieces. And then as the community started to learn more and understand what was going on, the popularity started to pick up and has been going ever since. And it's been awesome.
Yeah. No, that's great. And that's where I want to go next. So let's talk about evolution and growth here. Maybe one of you can bring up some of the key milestones and like growth phases of Northeast seminars.
I think one of our key milestones is when we were to a point where we could consistently put almost 200 people through the program a year. We have now have over 2,500 graduates of these certificate programs that we've provided. That milestone, it was huge, amazing for us. 20 years. When we hit the 20-year mark, I thought, I don't know how many times Dr. Levine would said to me, oh, maybe we'll do this for another year. And here we are 20 plus years later.
Right.
One of the other milestones is realizing how quickly time did go by and how important it was to keep the information current and a community to keep information coming in, because I don't think more has changed than what's changed in small animal and large animal rehabilitation in the last 20 years. Things that we thought
Right.
20 years ago has changed. And I think that was a big milestone, understanding the need
Absolutely.
for
Yeah.
not only putting out new material, but
Yeah.
keeping what we had current and letting people ask about
Yeah.
information that is just coming at them at the speed of light. Debbie, and again, if you're the only person in your office doing rehab, you need a community you can count on from a scientific point of view and from a commercial and business point of view.
Right.
You know, what they can do in the universities is different than what you all can do in private
Right.
practice.
Absolutely. And I look
That's our
at
next challenge, keeping yes, rehab centers open and running
Yeah,
and people employed in them
absolutely.
because they're
Yeah.
overwhelmed
I
by
agree.
the work.
Absolutely. And I think also we look at the pandemic, and I know, I'm sure you as well, Anthony, never slow down. If anything, we
No.
just,
Yeah. It was a
just
flood. It was an absolute
exactly,
flood. Yeah.
exactly. And when we were updating and redoing all of the new lectures and everything, it's amazing because I was looking at something last night and I thought, oh, wow, like we just did this, I don't know, 18 months ago. And want to make an addendum to this because there's new research out there, and the team that we work with, and I'm just so honored. I always joke, hashtag dream team, to work with everyone and just to bounce things off. And I know I'm constantly learning from our conversations, even after we're teaching and we're sitting down having a glass of wine and we start talking about something, and it gives us another idea of, oh, we should do this, or let's advance and let's move this. And the complexity of teaching and the knowledge of students coming in is at another level than it was 25 years ago. So it's really incredible.
Yeah, I agree. I truly love the blend of the veterinary world and the PT world together. And I do think that is the absolute, right? That is where the patient in front of us is going to reach that optimal goal when
Right.
all minds of both disciplines are coming together. It's unfortunate there's still some segregation there, but it really started to open up, and it's been an awesome community for sure. I think your guys' involvement has been super helpful in that as well. But yeah, so let's talk about the current state of Northeast seminars, right? Let's do a little bit of an overview of some of the current programs, how they're making an impact versus some other programs out there.
Mhm.
Well, I think we're making a huge impact, not only from just seeing Dr. Marcellin at the VMX with over 500 people at his lecture and the
Mm.
buzz that we felt on the exhibit room floor when Debbie was there at either the multi-radiance booth or at the Shockwave booth. It just seemed that, and that's what's important. When you see your faculty out there leading the way,
Mm.
and a lot of the participants and students that have been through your program, North Carolina State University has represented us also so well in the strides they're making in their rehab departments there. So I think last year was so much about building and building these amazing new programs, not only in our foundational rehab program and fitness training, our manual therapy program. We've got a myofascial program. We've just added an equine kinesio taping. It's important to give people the different tools for their rehab toolbox that they want or need. Everybody's different in what they treat and what they like to do. Debbie, there's so many different aspects to rehab. Not everybody likes to do the same thing and be as hands-on. So you want to give knowledge, like our arthritis program is completely online and just give some great information. So this year it's going to be about getting the message out there, just making sure people know no matter what they choose, education should always be current, fun, up to date, and conversational. You should be able to ask questions. If you don't have questions, if we don't see our forum busy with questions, something's wrong or a link is broken. And that's what our challenge is and commitment is to this year, just making sure we help and educate as many people who want to be educated in small animal PT as possible.
Yeah. Totally. And as an alumni, I can say, going back to Deb saying, talking about the dream team, I do think it's definitely a dream team. They're super informative, but they can also be very light and fluffy too. They can really have fun with it as well. And I think that's super important when you are putting out education. I know for myself, I've always learned with that blend. For me, learning anything should be fun, right? I think it's huge that the CCAT program, amongst the other programs that Northeast Seminar does, has that light and fluffy kind of feel to it with the education that you guys provide. And for myself, like I said, being an alumni, and I just had one of my managers at my facility just become an alumni too. And she was great. She did it in 6-7 months, but she couldn't speak higher of the education because she wouldn't have been able to do it without that guidance and without being engaged in that kind of atmosphere. So yeah, kudos to you guys. It's a really great program, and I do implore people to seek it out. The CCAT program is definitely your front runner. Even the fitness and the manual therapy classes are something that you should take before or after CCAT. There's so much to learn. And if there's one thing you take from it, it's you're that much better for it. And yeah, you guys got the ball rolling. I think this year is really going to be a lot of fun.
Definitely. No, it's great. I received a wonderful email yesterday from Michael. And I think because it's really where I always say it starts like at the home base. And a lot of times the first introductions are from Nikki or Jennifer or from Brett. And it does like by the time we get to the live, they know the participants so much better than we do because they've had interactions with them. And all we hear is your support behind you is incredible. Like they answer all the questions. And I love receiving emails or text messages from Pride.
Oh, Debbie, how far he has come.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
This is a boy, who was a boy in 2020, caring for his mother. Not very educated, maybe overeducated,
right?
Get out of school, do something. And he finally decided to stick his flag in the rehab world.
So
and
proud
Deb and I, he sees what he wants to be, which is Deb. And he's very close to realizing his own facility, which is very exciting.
Yes, definitely.
It's taken a village and he's appreciated it, but he's local. He's from Connecticut, right, Deb? He's in our area. Oh, that's exciting. Yes, he did. He called me the other day. I had a good time.
I was so happy. And you could just the vibration coming through the email. I'm so happy for him, and it's wonderful. So great.
Yeah, that's an amazing story for sure.
I'm sending him a plant and he can call it Nikki. Yeah, we're excited for him. We are. I'm glad he
great.
You told me he would.
So guys,
and that's what rehab is passionate. And if you can do that all day, what a great life you get to live. If you can, you should enjoy what you do. Yeah.
Absolutely agree.
Care about that's what you want for them.
It all falls back to what Deb even said earlier. If you're not passionate about treating these animals, you may want to rethink it. You may want to take a U-turn and stick in the human world or in the general practice world if you're a veterinarian. And rehab is a different breed. It's just like this program, right? It's scientific, but it's also light and fluffy.
Michael thought he'd give the Montessori school a shot and
oh boy,
help push him a little bit.
Okay.
Yes.
back into
Very
the
cool.
small animal world. But he has found his place, I think. And
Yes.
so we're happy for him.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely.
But let's go into the future vision or goals of Northeast Seminars, upcoming projects. I think you guys locked in the Philippines this year, if I'm not correct.
We are going to the Philippines, and it was just made official last Friday, I think. But we're going to go to the Philippines. We're hoping to go to Puerto Rico, and Brazil approached us recently. So,
That's
yeah, I
amazing.
think it's very important. Again, I think in the way, I think one of the reasons why we're the best program to bring internationally is because of the support we lend. We're able to do a modified program because we can converse, or the instructors can converse with the students throughout the forum and emails and on Zoom. And that's the important part. These certificates are not to hang on the wall. We really want people to be able to apply
Absolutely.
all these principles and be successful and send more students, train more people, get more help in their offices.
Yeah, no, I agree. This rehab right now is still considered a niche, and I really like the guidance of your program. And I do see you guys creating or changing the landscape and making it a norm instead of a niche. You guys are very rocket shipping forward here, and it's super fun to see for sure, especially being involved in your program. But some other future things I want to talk about. I don't know if there is any you might be doing as well, Deb, but any new areas of research education that you find in canine rehab starting to spark?
So there's a lot of different research out there. And I think one of, again, the nice things is compared to the human side, you don't always need a randomized controlled double blinded study. You know that again, because it's an animal, they're functional. We're able to look at a lot of functional scales as we start looking at more and more research coming in and looking at not only the objective measurements, but the owner's perception, the function, turning gait into something a little bit more than he's off, or
Mhm.
you know, the dog is off a little bit, and looking at different conditions such as degenerative myelopathy, looking at OA and what is the best course of treatment. And
Mhm.
so the staff, the teaching staff is definitely, that's one of the things probably we talk about after we teach constantly is
Yeah.
research projects and what can we start to look at. And it's just awesome at a lot of these other meetings, like whether they're international or within the US, that are starting to look more and more at just different things that we may not have even have thought about nursing care for an elderly patient. The human side we do, but we don't think about that sort of stuff in the animal. We don't
Yeah.
really look at hospice care. And there's still some people that will say hospice care. The animal's out heading out the door, but there's so
Yeah.
much more to that. And there's areas of specialty and even like looking at the way the modalities have changed and looking, do they really work? Can we compare from years ago and look at things retrospectively?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's a good point too, because when we talk about modalities, those are ever changing too, right? Research is
Oh,
coming out, and laser is always a hot topic, obviously. And I think shockwave is really starting to make a breakthrough
mhm.
too. It's been around for decades. Finally, it's surfacing, and it's been showing it's an effective method of modality. But yeah, it's really cool to see that even the instructors are always trying to learn, right? And I think that's super important when you look into a program like this, knowing that when an instructor leaves, they're just going to study. You know what I mean? It's huge. It's huge. And
Yeah,
that I think that's why Northeast Seminars is tip of the iceberg, at least in my eyes.
yeah.
So you guys are doing awesome. And yeah, I'm excited to see those exotic places, right? Philippines, Brazil, those places are going to be a lot of fun for you guys. And I think you guys are going to hit a lot of demographics that have been itching to get into canine rehab or have, and now just want a little bit more of a leadership or help in that sense for sure. But yeah, that's great, guys. I'm so happy for you. There's big things happening in 2024. Absolutely. And yeah, that's it for today, guys. Stay tuned for next time where we have Dr. Levine and Dr. Little going a little bit more in depth on the CCAT program. Nicole, Deb, thanks so much for joining us. All right, guys, we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
You've been listening to the Canine Rehab Movement Podcast. Thank you for tuning in. And for more information about our programs, please visit ncsuvetce.com. That's ncsuvetce.com. And for those of you who've made it to the end of the podcast, use the discount code NCSU100 and save $100 off of any course, $4.99 or more. Until next time, guys, this is the Canine Rehab Movement Podcast.